8th of January 2023. This is one of that what the fuck moments for me, and this one is titled What the fuck Germany. Now I didn't grow up, but I spent a lot of my years as a youngster in German communities in South Africa, and I have a lot of respect for the Germans. I was also introduced to many of their cultural things, and I like their food, and I like the people. The brands that we know is obviously BMW, Mercedes, Bosch, Bayer, all brands that represents technical excellence and high quality. And that is what the German brands are known for, their quality. Because the Germans don't take shortcuts. Well, that is how I grew up, and that's how I perceived them. But lately, this thing that happened in Europe since the Ukraine war started astounded me. I was absolutely dumbstruck. I cannot believe that the German people allowed that corrupt leadership of theirs, in unison with the cabal in Brussels and the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen, or Ursula von der Crazy, or the Pirate of Brussels, or whatever you want to name her, how they conspired to destroy the German industrial base. It started off with that green madness. It started a few years ago, and they plowed a lot of money into it, and they shut the German nuclear reactors down and shit like that. And now they are paying for it. And then there was Trump with his lame shit remark about Germany being over-dependent on Russian gas. Now my question is simply this: how the fuck do you make your country grow if you need energy and your neighbor is willing to supply you that energy at a reasonable price? Why don't you buy from him? It's only that warmongering Americans that has got all that shit to say, and now the people that cheered Trump on at that stage, look at what was the net result. Germany is cut off from the Russian energy, and now they buy their energy from America. That's 4 to 7 times the price they used to pay. That made the German industries immediately uncompetitive. They can no longer compete on the world market. And the reason behind that move from America was simply this: America realized that under their fucking green madness, they also allowed their country to be deindustrialized. And now with the war on top of them, they find all of a sudden they don't have the capacity to build and produce what the war needs. So, they know it's going to take a long time to rebuild their industry, so what is the best option? The next best option: steal the industries from Germany. And that's what they did. And von der Leyen assisted them, and the lame, fucked up leadership in Germany under that useless Schultz and Annalena Baerbock, or Annalena Dumbak as Alex calls her, they managed to assist von der Leyen in giving the German industries to the Americans on a silver platter. Now my question has been this all along. With Germany being deindustrialized, where the hell are those people going to work that used to work in those industries? Secondly, where the fuck is the taxes going to come from for Germany? Because Germany finances the EU. That's it. Not many countries in the EU is financially independent today. And a big thing for their financial bankruptcy in all those countries is the overload of bureaucracy which is costing billions. And now they can't finance it. And what do? They print more euros. And what does that do? It chases up the inflation. And what is that in the next step? They jack up the interest rates. So in the end, the consumer must pay for their foolishness. So I don't know. It is sad to see Germany collapse. And then you have got a problem that it is quite clear from the things that I read, that there's a re-emergence of the Nazis, and the West is openly backing the Nazis in Ukraine. So the Nazi movements are being revived. And we all know what happened the previous time. What the Nazis did to Europe, and who stopped them. And now they're building up strength again. And they're obviously going to stir shit. And who's going to stop them this time? Not the Russians. The last time the Russians paid with 27 million of their people dead to stop the Nazis. And I don't think they're going to do it again, seeing how they have been treated by the West. So, Germany, you're on your own. Let's look at some news. Welcome to the Islamic State of Germany. German courts ruled that Sharia police are now not against the law and can patrol German streets. Sharia police provoke, intimidate and force their ideology upon others while harassing women, gays, Jews, etc. Meanwhile, Germany supports them. Look at that. 20 years ago, this wouldn't have happened. Germany will provide Ukraine with Marder BMPs and an additional Patriot air defense battery. The White House made the announcement following a phone call between Biden and Schultz. Now, again, phone call between Biden and Schultz, and the Germans says, yes sir, and they do what the newcons in the shithouse want. Germany has confirmed that it will supply Ukraine with Marder BMPs and another battery of Patriot air defense systems. Earlier, the USA announced that it would supply Ukraine with up to 50 Bradley BMPs and various modifications in addition to the French AMR-10RC heavy armored personnel carriers. As for the batch of Turkish Kirpi BMPs, it is part of an old purchase from the summer of 2022. Of the 150 in 2022, 50 were delivered and now another 42 are passing through Romania. In the case of the Marders, we could be talking about some 30 to 50 pieces, although NATO wants to complete the AFU with at least 200 different types of BMPs and 250 to 350 new MRAPs by the spring, which is necessary for the brigades being formed. And I cannot understand how the Europeans are so fucking stupid to allow themselves to be disarmed. What do they think is going to happen once the Russians are done with Ukraine and they decide, okay, we've got a lot of people walking around looking for something to do, let's send them into Poland. What will happen? And then we've got this from Maria Zakharova. I like this woman. The Russian Foreign Ministry, pumping Kiev with lethal weapons and heavy military equipment used not only against the Russian military personnel, but also against the civilian population of Donbass, is the moral boundary that the German authorities should not have crossed. Taking into account Germany's historical responsibility to our people for the crimes of Nazism during the Great Patriotic War. Why are you educating them? Well, the Germans want to fight with Russia, so this is their right to choose how they die, in their bed or from a nuclear outbreak. But the politicians don't listen. They don't listen. More on that BMPs. Germany to hand Ukraine Marder BMPs, Leopard tanks next, head of the Bundestag Defense Committee. It is great relief that the German government and especially the Chancellery are finally clearing the way for armored vehicles to be delivered to Ukraine. It comes very late, but not too late. Our efforts have yielded results, but we will not give up. After the Marder comes the Leopard, says Agnes Struck-Zimmermann, head of the Bundestag Defense. What the fuck is that? But go on, disarm yourself. After Marder go Leopard, and behind them Satan and Samad in the opposite direction. The Germans will be happy. Right, Agnes? Head of the Bundestag Defense Committee, Agnes Strack. It is a great relief that the German government and especially the Chancellery is finally clearing the way for the delivery of armored vehicles to Ukraine. They don't listen, they don't think, they don't calculate, and I don't understand that from the Germans. And then you get this. German retires from army services jumps by almost 500%. In 2022, due to unwillingness towards involvement in Ukraine, says the German Federal Office of Family Affairs and Civil Society Functions, looks like Berlin's warning that its army will last 2 weeks in a hypothetical war is a stretch. They won't even last 2 weeks. And then you get this. The leader of the ruling party of Germany publicly opposed the supply of Leopard tanks to Kiev. The co-chairman of the Social Democratic Party of Germany, Lars Klingbeil, said that Germany would not unilaterally supply Leopard tanks to the armed forces of Ukraine. No country is currently supplying such heavy tanks as the Leopard 1 or Leopard 2, so it is right that the Americans, the French, and also we as the federal government are constantly thinking about whether we can now become involved in this conflict. Emphasize that influential politician. Germany's supply of heavy weapons to Kiev regime is that moral line, crossing which the Germans can't break the shaky relations with Russia, which in its history has repeatedly suffered disasters from the German side. Well, the Russians don't forget these things. And then you have this disturbing news. A terrorist attack using poisonous substances has been prevented in Germany. German police and intelligence agencies have prevented a terrorist attack in the town of Castrop-Rauxel in western Germany. 2 Iranian nationals have been detained on suspicion of preparing a terrorist attack. They were planning to use cyanide and ricin, German authorities said. So, right in the beginning when that madness with all the immigrants started, there were Middle East people that warned Europe against it and told them that they must be careful. They are importing terrorists. They are importing the scum from the Middle East. And now, that scum is there, settled among the citizens. And you see shit like this. Then we get this. Germans are unhappy with the delivery of Marder BMPs and do not want combat tanks to Ukraine built. The tabloid cites a poll in which 49% believe the transfer of BMPs is wrong, 40% support the decision, and 11% are undecided about the opinion. 50% are against the transfer of combat tanks to Ukraine. 38% would support such decision. But the people has got no voice. And then you get this stupid thing. The German president, Walter Steinmeier, has asked Chinese leader Xi Jinping in a telephone conversation to use his influence over Russia to urge Vladimir Putin to end the war and withdraw his troops. The statement published in the Bundespräsident website said the federal president thanked Xi Jinping for his clear rejection of nuclear threats from Russia. And I find this actually very hypocritical. The Germans are feeding the Ukraine war machine, but then they want China to tell Russia to stop fighting. What the fuck is that? And then you get this, which should make every German sit up straight. Our tanks are kaput, German general warns. The German Defense Ministry, our tanks are kaput. German Defense Minister Christine Lambrecht has called an emergency meeting over the disastrous state of the Bundeswehr equipment. During a recent NATO High Readiness Force exercise, all 18 participating Puma infantry fighting vehicles broke down. The problems were many, from electronic failures to defects of the turret. The crew of one vehicle was snuffed out by a burnt-out wiring harness. As a result of the problems, the Bundeswehr has no choice but to rely on the Puma's precursor, the 1970s era Marder. The purchase of new Pumas has been suspended. Germany's main battle tank, the Leopard 2, has broken down less in exercises, but the second batch won't be ordered either until the machine proves its resilience. The German army's crappy equipment has made it a laughingstock of NATO, writes Politico, and adds, maybe it's a good thing Germany refused to send Ukraine tanks after all. Now, what is crazy is that Puma has now been proven to be rubbish, and they're falling back on the Marders, but they are sending a lot of Marders to Ukraine. What the fuck is wrong with those people in Europe? What is wrong with those countries? Can't they see that the American plan is to get them disarmed? And they play along. And then you get this disturbing news. Germany becoming dysfunctional state. Germany faces a serious risk of going bankrupt due to the government's inability to find a viable solution to the current energy crisis, the Vice President of the Bundestag, Wolfgang Kubicki, said in an interview published in the national newspaper Bild in Sonntag. According to the official, Germans now have the impression that their country is on the way to becoming a dysfunctional state. Infrastructure, energy prices, and the inability of the Bundeswehr to protect us are challenges that require immediate action from the German authorities, otherwise things will go wrong. They better wake up, but they don't listen when people talk. They just follow the instructions from the newcons in the shithouse. And then you have this. German officials sound the alarm of worst case scenario, as Berlin's stockpile of weapons can only last for a measly 2 weeks in a hypothetical future war due to the supply of weapons to Kiev. Europeans are watching their countries swirl down the drain, just so their governments can use Zelensky as a tool in their proxy war against Russia. This is going to cost Europe a lot. And then I'm going to stop this thing now with this image and take a good look at it and think about it. Think about it. This is the reality. This is not fiction. NATO is a reincarnation of the Nazi Party. They just found a way to control you without invading you. Agree? Look at those maps. On the left, the Nazi influence sphere. That is what the Nazis did to Europe. And then you look on the right. That is the NATO. What is the difference here? There is no difference. And on that note, please give me a like and a subscribe and share the thing. And leave your comments. I would like to hear your comments. I say these things and some of these things are going against everything that you know and believe in. Tell me about it. Have a great day.